Welcome back to my Mythical Meta. My name is Travis, and I'm joined by my brother Benjamin.
Hello.
And my good friend Randy.
How's it going?
Welcome back, everyone. A viewer has reached out to us with a question about how to find a playgroup. And this question is actually the core of what started our podcast in the first place. This podcast began as a relationship advice podcast where we hoped we could help people have healthy gaming groups. And now we have a much bigger audience. We can actually start getting our message out to people. It's really exciting to get back to the core of our podcast. This episode is actually kind of a remaster of episode 1, now that we've got video and an active community. So I'm really excited for tonight's news from the Warfront. All right. A couple of quick announcements. You don't have to be a member of our Patreon or YouTube community. Anybody can submit news from the Warfront questions. You can go directly through our comments or through email at mymythicalmeta@gmail.com. If you are interested in joining our Patreon or any of our Metapod communities on YouTube, you can go to patreon.com/mymythicalmeta, or you can click join next to any of our YouTube videos, and you will find the available perks. Benjamin, talk about our road to 1K.
Yeah, so we're on the road to 1K. We want 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year. We're at 670 right now, so we're getting there.
Yes, we are.
We've more than doubled in the last few weeks, and we really appreciate all those who have already subscribed, and those, especially if you went the extra mile to find us from TikTok and Instagram and came over here. If you're one of the 5,000 return viewers who watch our stuff more than once, but you're not subscribed, please hit that subscribe button and click the bell icon to be notified when we publish new content. If we've made our way into your algorithm, subscribing helps and you won't miss a thing. And then as part of our road to 1K, Eldorado Gaming, who's the sponsor of our show, has offered us a special code for one-time use called ROAD15. So if you go to eldoradogaming.com, where they sell metal dice, gaming accessories, cool stuff to check out there, you can use promo code ROAD15 at checkout and get 15% off your order. It's a great way to get started. Of course, you can always use promo code META, META, for 10% off your order, but you get an extra 5% for this special promotion of our road to 1,000 subscribers. So come check us out.
That's right, y'all. Hey, if you're in our 87% who's not subscribed, please help us out. Okay, here is our message from a viewer. Hello, I saw an episode on YouTube and thought I'd reach out with a question. How do I find a playgroup? More specifically, I'd prefer to play with the same playgroup regularly and have group chats to talk about deck building, spoilers, etc. I don't have anyone to share my joy of Magic with right now. I occasionally visit LGSs for Commander Nights, but infrequently due to scheduling. How would you progress a relationship from randoms at a game store to a regular playgroup? I have also tried posting in local Magic subreddits and Discord servers with no luck. Thank you. Like I said in our intro, this message, this question, this is why we started our podcast. We have a very healthy game group that we play with all the time. That's what inspired the name of our show, My Mythical Meta. And we hope that we can give advice and use our group as a model to help others, like our viewer, like our question asker, to find a group that can be their mythical meta, a group that they can join and be a part of and have good friends. But that's actually the trick to answering this question. It's not, how do I find a Magic playgroup? What you actually need to be asking is, how do I have good friends? Because if you want a fulfilling social experience, you have to consider your friendships first and the game second.
Yeah, our Mythical Meta didn't start as a Magic group. In fact,
That's right.
As far as I know, Randy doesn't even like Magic. He just does it to hang out with us.
I did for a while, but I stay for the friends.
I mean, obviously, Travis and I know each other basically since he was born. He's my brother, right? Travis and Randy knew each other shortly after high school when Randy started college.
Yeah, we were in a D&D group briefly together in high school, and then we kind of went our separate ways through college. And then when I moved back to Houston and lived with Derek, That's when Randy and I kind of reconnect.
Gotcha. And then
Yeah.
Travis and Derek were roommates. Randy and Derek, I guess, were
Since band in high school.
band. Right. So we all know each other in different ways. And then when I joined the group, the three of them were already really close. They invited me to play Magic with them because I was already into Magic, but I know that they did all sorts of stuff together. It wasn't always Magic, right? Now
Yeah,
we
we were
primarily
playing League
play
of Legends or Diablo or
X-Wing.
yeah, that's right.
I know y'all did
We were playing
competitive
lots of games.
Pokemon sometimes. You and Derek did.
That's right. Derek. Yeah, Randy, you got Pokemon X and Y to play with us briefly.
And Black 2, I think. I think Black
Was
2
that
came
right?
out first, right? Yeah, I played
Yeah,
3
Black 2 came
Pokemon
out
games.
first.
I get 40 hours in, and then I drop it. It happened 3
Yeah.
times.
Yeah.
So the activity is malleable. These activities are all just vehicles.
Yeah.
All they do is provide a way for friends to hang out. Now, our audience on our channel now is Magic players, but the advice that we're going to give today, it's going to hold true for role-playing game groups, video game groups. You know, the Switch 2 and Mario Kart World just came out. So if you're trying to cultivate a group to play Mario Kart with, a poker group, sports,
Yeah.
actual physical sports,
What?
what are those?
Yeah.
If you want to find an actual group that you can go to the park and play soccer with, any game that you play with friends, you can accomplish that goal by following the advice that we're going to give today.
Every game group that I've been a part of, because this isn't the only regular game group I've been a part of.
Yeah.
When I was in college, I was part of a regular gaming group. When I was in San Angelo, I was part of a regular gaming group.
Randy looked jealous.
Well,
He went,
it
"Oh."
always
I
starts
didn't know
with...
you then. I didn't know you then. I think that like now you. Oh,
No. I mean, I've been part of other groups too, because being part of a group is a healthy thing, and being part of multiple groups is a healthy thing, right? But it usually doesn't start with picking the game and then finding people. It starts by making friends. But as we get into this episode, I think there are 2 ways to form a gaming group. You can make friends and then invite them to play games. That's how our experience has usually been. But that isn't the only way, and I do have
That's how our
experience.
successful experiences have usually been.
I think that's right. I think that making friends first, and then of your, somewhere between 5 and 30 friends, hopefully can find 4 of them, or three friends, and plus yourself. 3 plus yourself that like Magic enough to play with you regularly, right? Or, and this is what it seems like how your question was based, and what some people try to do. You can play games and then try to make friends out of the people you play games with. That can work, and in fact, I've seen it work in a couple situations. I'll explain. As we go through this, we can talk about it. But either way, either making friends and inviting them to play games, or playing games and becoming friends, the ultimate thing is that you have to become friends with them if you want it to be the kind of group that you mentioned in your email. If you want it to be meaningful, long-lasting, you want to have a group chat where people are sharing memes, talking about getting together, scheduling actual get-togethers for playing games or whatever, you got to have a real connection. If you only play games and there isn't a real connection, it typically doesn't last that long. It's not as regular as it sounds like you want it to be. There are options for people who just want to play Magic and not worry about that. You can play online, right? If all you want to do is play Magic and you don't care about the people, get on Arena, right?
Yeah. And just grind out games.
When Magic is my
no
top
social
priority,
contract.
I do that. Exactly. Competitive tournaments. I used to do competitive tournaments a lot, either at an LGS or going to local Grand Prix or whatever. You know what? I have never made a friend at a tournament. I've met people that I like.
It's true.
That they were very friendly. We chatted, if the rounds went fast, maybe it was a 2-0 with, short games. I might have chatted with them for a while and said, "Oh, where are you from?" Never talked to them again after that. But the people that I was friends with first and then played games with them, that usually lasted a lot longer. And I ended up playing more games with the people that I did not make friends with in order to play games, and with the people I specifically went to play games with.
Yeah, I mean, I absolutely agree. That's going to be kind of our big focus today, is how can you make friends and then play games with them? Now, we are, of course, going to address the people that you already have something in common with. We are going to talk about the LGS. We are going to talk about, people who already play Magic. But like Benjamin just said, the people who are at their LGS already, they're probably there with their friends, or they're there to grind out games. A lot of people aren't at the LGS specifically to meet new people. They have an experience in mind whenever they went there. And it was to meet people or to grind out games with randoms.
To meet people
You
they
know-
already knew, to meet with people,
That's what I
not
meant.
to make new friends. Like,
That's
yeah,
yeah, to meet with people, to meet with a scheduled group of people.
right. Like when we go
Yeah.
to an LGS, we've played games with other people where we sat down and invited people in or whatever, and it was fun. And then I have never connected with those people again. I connect with y'all because I'm friends with y'all, right? But normally, our normal experience is that we go, the four of us sit down, we'll spend 3, 4, 5 hours at that LGS and not talk to a single other player there.
Yeah.
So
In the rare case we have like Franklin or somebody else saying, "Hey, all the pods are taken. Is it possible for me to play with y'all?"
yeah,
So very, very rarely we make room for a 5. And that's when we do things like Star or Emperor in order to, have an environment where we can help everybody to play. But again, that's not why we showed up. Those are just happy accidents. So here are some things you can do to make friends, to kind of start from social zero. That's where we're going to start in this episode, starting from social neutral. And then as we progress, we'll talk about what to do next. What can you do in your next step? So making friends from social zero. First, you need to make sure that you are following your cultural norms. Wherever you live and wherever you are trying to make friends, you want to be normal there. So that includes things like good hygiene. We live in the United States. We live in Houston, Texas. Part of being a good member of society is smelling nice. Like, that's the
Usually.
rules.
gotta wear your deodorant.
Yeah, wear your deodorant.
Wash your hair at least once a week.
Wash your hair, take a shower. Make sure to cover sensitive areas.
In the Magic
You know-
community, the big problem is the butt crack.
That's right.
I'll put it out there.
Wear
You
a
should-
belt. Wear suspenders.
Suspenders
Wear
are
a shirt
cool.
that
Don't let
fits.
anybody tell you otherwise.
Respect personal space. Don't breathe over somebody's shoulder to look at their hand while they're playing in a game. Respect personal space according to the predominant culture you live in. Whatever is normal for the area you live in. This also means respecting other people's belongings. Don't grab their cards or grab their dice, or move their game pieces around or move their backpack without asking them in order to sit down. All of these things are ways that you need to follow cultural norms, and breaking these rules reduces your chances at making friends significantly. Now, you may get really lucky and find somebody else who doesn't shower. All right, but the chances
you two
of
will never find anyone else.
but that's what I'm saying is the chances of those two meeting are like ships passing in the night, man. The astronomical chances of you making friends with somebody else who breaks those cultural norms is very low. All right, so you are cutting yourself off from potential friends if you refuse to do these things.
Right. And we're not saying that you have to give up your own cultural identity to be part of the majority. Normal doesn't necessarily mean normal. It doesn't mean boring. So it doesn't mean you have to be the jock or the preppy kid. It means normal for what the kind of friends you want to make. Doesn't mean you have to conform in every way, but there's a certain amount of conformity that goes into making friends and having people where you have things in common. It's very, very unlikely that you and someone you have nothing in common with, style wise, smell wise, taste wise, whatever, are going to hang out regularly, right? So if you have in your mind the type of group you want to hang out with, you need to be the type of person that attracts that person, right? And so in the United States, in Houston, Texas especially, you got to wear deodorant because you get sweaty walking outside. Don't just put it on your armpits. I'm going to be honest. I kind of put it on your back is a good place for it.
My back, my what do you call these? My abdominal rolls,
Your love handles.
my love handles. Everybody's got them. Everybody in our group's got them.
That's
Hey,
All right. Here's another quick hint, and then I'm going to pass it off to somebody else. Ask names. Ask somebody's name if you're
Mhm.
meeting somebody new for the first time, and then use their names throughout the day. I used to play The Sims a lot. That is a big minus sign when you have to say, man, I know you told me your name, but I forgot it. Or if you call somebody by the wrong name, those are big minus signs. So once somebody tells you their name, use it 2 or 3 times.
yeah, that helps.
Like that's all I'm saying is use it 2 or 3 times right then to nail it into your mind. Randy, what's another thing that we can do to start making friends and attracting the type of game group we want?
I mean, Good way to do that is to like, like we'll know what you're into, like peacock, wear and like show off your interests. For me, it's stickers. This is my safer work cup. I got my Digimon on here. I got my IQ, Cyberpunk. These are all others. I like stickers. These are all safer work.
Wow.
Such an easy way to let people know what you're into.
Mm-hmm.
But decorate your bag. I'm not gonna grab my bag; it's too heavy. But it's covered in pins, and it's all MTG and anime. It's like that. Put out there what you're interested in. Also tattoos. There we go. Tattoos.
Yep. Got my soul ring up my sleeve.
I can't tell you how many times I was with Travis and he would be wearing one of his sleeveless shirts and someone was like, "Is that a Dragon Age tattoo?" I mean, we'd be at Texas Roadhouse and the waitress was like, "Oh my god."
I remember that.
Yeah, she
That
talked
was
to you for
crazy.
like 5 minutes and I'm like, "Lady, my steak, please." Okay.
That's so
Right.
true.
Yeah, and
But
Travis
yeah,
and I
I
are both
mean-
wearing Gundam shirts.
Yeah.
Got Gundam t-shirts on. The whole time we were in Japan, Randy, that was like one of my goals is I want to find something every city we go to that decorates my backpack. So a little keychain, a little pin, a little something.
I mean, heck, we were in the middle of Japan on a Monday. So you know what
That's
that means. Travis was wearing his bachelor shirt, but it was Bachelor Monday.
That's right.
And someone I'll let you tell this little.
Yeah. Oh my God. I can't believe I forgot about that. It was a Monday. During our trip, I was missing the last 4 episodes of Bachelor in Paradise, I think. So I was wearing my Bachelor Nation shirt with a big rose on it. And sure enough, every Monday is Bachelor night. And sure enough, 2 tourists who were at a temple with us were like, "Oh my God, you watch The Bachelor?" And I'm like, "Yeah, man, Bachelor Nation. It's worldwide now."
I spent like 40 minutes talking about Bachelor podcast. So, that was a great way. I'm sure if we wanted, we could have kept in contact with these people, but
Well,
yeah.
what the thing about Texas Roadhouse or being on vacation or whatever, but especially if you're local and you're running into people like you're wearing a Magic shirt or you have your Magic tattoo, you have a Magic pin on your backpack or whatever, and then you are somewhere else, not in an LGS, living your life, and you meet somebody. Well, that's somebody who's in your community that now you have something in common. Y'all can say, "Hey, you play Magic? You want to meet at Jason's Deli and play?" Because they have the unlimited refills on the
That's right.
lemonade,
Okay.
right? I mean, you find somewhere, go meet at a safe place to play. I had a friend, we got into chess randomly and just invited me to restaurant to play chess, and it's like, okay. But that's the only way you can you can find someone in your community who does the things you like is if you're advertising the things you like so that you can connect with the person in your community. So absolutely, what Randy's talking about, if someone at his office sees one of those stickers and says, "Hey, here's my sticker," and they get into it, now he has someone he can hang out with.
I was like, that's a perfect example. I have a Magic the Gathering playmat as a mouse pad at work, and someone saw it and was like, "Oh, hey, that's Magic the Gathering," and that's how that led to D&D discussions, and I had a work group D&D group for a while, and that went on for about a year or two before people started having babies and schedules got all messed up.
Oh, families,
kids. Anyway, but
Yeah,
yeah,
kids are great.
it was just a really old Magic the Gathering playmat that I had at work, and that sparked a whole new friendship that I have now that at work. So feel free, just don't be embarrassed to like rep the things you like. My girlfriend had a thing on our fridge for a while whenever she would take these like dance classes. And
just girlfriend,
fiance.
That's
sorry.
right. That's our boy.
Fiance at the time she was my girlfriend, but anyway, she had this thing written on there, to remind herself, like, whenever she was on this dance class, and it was like, the cost of growth or learning something new is embarrassed. Like, you're going to go to the dance class or whatever it is that you're going to do, whatever new thing you want to learn or attempt, there's going to be times where you feel awkward, you feel embarrassed, you feel out of place. And that's just the cause, like, if you're only going to do something you're comfortable with, then you're never going to get to do much because, learning new things can be awkward. But people who care or like are going to judge you on that aren't the people that you're going to be friends with anyway. They're not the kind of people that are going to want to hold a conversation with you, and you're not going to want to hold a conversation with them. Yeah, so just don't sweat it. The people who think that it's interesting will be interested in talking to you, and that's people that you want to attract.
Exactly.
And this,
Exactly. It's like a
yeah,
magnet, and the people who think that you're weird or awkward or whatever, I mean, you wouldn't want to be friends with them anyway. You've lost
right.
nothing.
Yeah,
Yeah, this is what we were saying. What Travis was saying earlier about the cultural norms and when I said like normal for the people you want to hang out with, right?
Yeah.
If you have a magic mouse pad and someone walks up and goes, "You play magic, weirdo?" Well, that person wasn't going to
Or
be the gaming group you were looking at, right? Great. They think you're weird for a hobby you like. You don't want to
they
be friends with them.
eliminated themselves for you.
Yeah,
yeah.
great. They did the
I've
job.
had that
right?
exact situation before too at a job. They're like, "Isn't it a game for kids? You play video games? That's a thing for kids."
Yeah. Yeah. And the people who are interested in your peacocking will ask you about it. And this is your opportunity to describe the things you like about it and the things that are attractive about whatever this hobby is with them. And again, we're going to kind of stick to magic here as just our example. So if you like it for its complex and strategic gameplay, talk about that. If you like it for lore or artwork or the chance to express yourself, or maybe we're talking about Warhammer instead and it's the craftsmanship of the pieces or the act of collecting or painting, anything that makes this game attractive, that's what you talk about, because you have an opportunity here to connect with this other person and to encourage them to be interested in this thing with you.
You can also use what you know about like your friends or family, what they like, to try to get them into things that you enjoy. You know, like me and Derek, big monsters and Godzilla and stuff like that. So that's definitely something that kind of drew us in, especially when they had the Godzilla Secret Lair. Like that was a definite draw for us.
Yeah.
I
The
think I think
Godzilla tie-in for Ikoria was insane.
So if I remember correctly, I think the set that started to get Derek and I into it was Theros.
That
And
was
I
the
mean,
set that was out when I started teaching you guys.
yes. And
Greek
so
gods, Hercules.
exactly, Greek
Yep.
mythology, every boy is just innately drawn to this like I like big monsters, I like cool gods that do bad things, you know. I enjoy a pantheon. So yeah, like that was cool because it was like okay, it's somewhat similar. I could kind of get the themes on like what they're trying to do, but it's a bit new flavor, and it's like we had no idea what we were looking for, but we're like, ooh, pretty cards.
Yeah.
That's what got us into it. And then I think it was another big god set. It was I'm on Ket.
I'm on Ket is
Our
when Derek was
devastation.
like, I'm going to start buying my own cards.
And
Was
now we're
I'm on
like
Ket.
now we're into the Egyptian gods. So
Yeah. Oh, man, that was a fun set, y'all.
those were some fun things that we liked, and so that was like, hey, we like this, and so that's how we were to kind of get into it. If that had been like almost any other theme around that time, probably I probably would not have been as interested. Like if it was a core set,
Randy, I guess you in particular, I can't imagine that Innistrad would have really caught your attention. Here's like a
yeah,
Victorian Gothic horror set
yeah. At the time, no, I wasn't as into horror as I
at
am
the
now.
time.
Yeah,
All of this is to say, this section kind of gets summed up by saying you have to be yourself, but being yourself is not enough. You have to be confident about yourself. You have to be willing to put yourself out there. And if you are naturally introverted, this will be harder and it will take longer to do. And there's just no getting around that. But if you're in this situation where you want friends, it requires outreach. And if you are an introvert feeling this conflict, this pull, check out this episode in the corner called Introverts Make Bad Friends.
It was a hot take episode. We go back and forth.
It's a debate episode, but there are some tips in there and some tips for me on how to handle an introvert friend. But it is going to be a challenge. This step is hard. Okay, this step of advertising yourself, putting yourself out there at risk of the embarrassment in order to try to meet new friends, it's hard. But doing hard things is how you grow. You tried something difficult, and it's okay to mess up because now you're better at it. Okay, and that's what this step is. It's tough at the beginning, but the more you do it, the better you'll be at it. Every no is a step towards the next yes. And that's something Benjamin and I both learned in door-to-door selling and fundraising. Is every no is one step closer to the next yes.
There are almost certainly in your city 3 people who like magic who you would get along with and could be friends. I mean, it ultimately is a numbers game. The more people you meet in the context of your community and your life, and who also can find out fairly easily that you like magic, the more likely you are to find 3 friends who also like magic.
Yeah.
But you got to be out there.
Yeah. And that's where we are. Whenever you meet new people, ask them questions. Once you've met a person and you've decided that they're an interesting person, this is the next step, is ask them questions and listen and remember their responses. People love to talk about themselves. This was a trick that I learned as a teacher every time I had to do a parent call, was ask questions. I ask the parents, what's your suggestion for how I could help this kid? Because you clearly know him better than I. People love to be flattered like that. And you can do this by asking, what are your hobbies? What are the things you're interested in? What are you an expert on? You can ask them their favorite movies, books, music. If you are trying the LGS route, just start asking people, what's your favorite deck? Or what's your favorite archetype or strategy? Or what's your favorite commander? Or what's your favorite content creator or podcast? My Mythical Meta. That's the correct answer. My Mythical Meta. You can ask people what people do for work. There's a reasonable chance that you'll learn a little bit of something about them by their response. But I'll tell you that very few people like their jobs. Most people don't want to talk about work when they're on leisure time. So if you're in a leisure environment, maybe don't talk about work unless somebody offers it up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some people like their jobs, but I don't think most people do.
Yeah.
Because working sucks.
Yeah. And Travis mentioned this, but I really want to stress it, the actually listen part. I know you're on a mission to find people to play Magic with, but when you're listening to what someone else's hobby is or what their favorite bands are or whatever, you might find something that piques your interest enough to say, tell you what, why don't we go see that new movie that you said that you're interested in, and then afterwards we can play a game of Magic or something like that. Or in fact, you might go a whole evening saying, that sounds really cool. Can I join you? And then maybe don't play Magic at all that time, because that's how you make friends. And chances are there will come a point where you can say, hey, I've got a couple decks. You want to try one? And then
I'm happy to walk you through it.
Yeah.
And like, being a friend requires two-way communication, because if you're just looking for tools to play Magic with, you can go to your shop or you can play online. Like, that's an option there.
I do want to add one little asterisk, though. Don't invite yourself. Something Benjamin said was like, hey, can I go? It's like,
yeah, don't.
Okay.
I mean,
maybe show your interest, be like, oh, I've really wanted to see that too.
It depends on. Yeah, it totally depends
on
on
how well you know the person, I guess.
How well you know the person. You got to read the room. Obviously, if they say, me and my girlfriend are going to this concert, you don't say, hey, can I go too?
Yeah.
If they're saying like, hey, we're getting a group together to go to a thing this weekend, you might say, do you have room for one more? Or do you know if any seats are do you know if any seats are still available, or things like that, to kind of hint that you're interested in, and give them. And of course, this is a hard thing about making friends, but you should always give them an out so that they can say no
in a polite
way. And that doesn't mean they don't want to be friends with you. It means they already had plans and didn't know that you existed when they made plans, and that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
And that doesn't mean you can't eventually hang out with them another time, right? And that's part of the embarrassment thing that we talked about earlier, and putting yourself out there. And it's hard. Knowing how to thread that needle is something you only get used to by doing it. Sometimes you'll make a fool of yourself, but Randy's absolutely right. If you start becoming overbearing, then you're likely to push people away. But also, there are people that you're not the only one out there looking for friends. And if someone says, I would love to do this thing with you, they might be like, great. I didn't want going to the movies alone is awkward. So sometimes I actually kind of like it, but I know a lot of people.
I love it too. I haven't had a chance in a long time.
Okay, I take that back. We all like going to the movies by ourselves. But I know more than one person who says they refuse to go to a movie alone. And so you never know if that's that type of person. And if it is, and they mention that there's a new movie coming out that they're really hoping to see, you can always say, that sounds really cool. Do you want to find a time we can get a group together to go, or something like that?
Yeah.
And
I mean,
put it
One
out
of
there.
our mantras at My Mythical Meta is we don't believe in codes or secret signals. Use your words and ask.
Yeah. If you
I
want
do
to,
think you should use your
ask.
words and
Yeah.
ask. And you can say, it is okay to say no. Could I come with you? Like
Yeah.
you can just put it in words and
Yeah.
ask. Yeah.
And that's probably the best way to do that, where you're not inviting yourself. Like, it's totally understandable if you don't have room, or if it's a date or
Oh my
whatever.
God, Yamcha is at the bottom of Randy's cup. God.
Yeah.
Dead Yamcha from the Saiyan saga.
My other thought was to put Rebecca.
From Cyberpunk down there. Yeah.
But yeah, putting that out there and saying, I totally understand if you don't have time or whatever, but if you do, would you be interested in XYZ? Something like that. That's I'm
Yeah.
glad you mentioned that, Randy. I think that's good clarification.
Yeah. Benjamin, bring us to our next point. We've talked about some ways to broach the subject of being someone's friend, of trying to form connections, but who do we pick?
Yeah,
Where can we go? Where can we go to find people?
Yeah, so if you're asking this question, then you likely don't have an established game group or whatever, but chances are you see certain people all the time. In the social sciences, they call that the people that you have propinquity with, right? That might be your coworkers, people you go to school with, people that you're in clubs with, people that you work with. These are the
family.
Families for many people, that's the main one, right? You see your brother every day, maybe just for a meal or I don't know how old this person is or how old our audience is. I mean, I know that we have high schoolers who listen, and so you may only see your family member when you're waiting for the bus in the morning, but you know what? That's more time than you spend with a lot of other people. So if you don't already have an established friend group, then you can look to the people who are near you that you have the propinquity with, and start talking to them about your hobbies, right? So that might be existing friends. In fact, that's probably the best place to start. These people claim that they like you already, right? They
Yeah, you're
sit
not
with you
at
at
social
lunch.
0.
Yeah, you're at social 3 or 4, right? They'll sit with you at lunch or walk with you to your classes, or y'all might be they say get in groups for a project. Or
Yeah.
whoever these people are, you might say, hey, I just got into this game Magic, and I'm looking for people to play with. You're my friend. Do you want to? Don't say that, but hey, you want to try it out with me?
You can, though. You can. You can't say, "Hey, you're my friend."
Yeah, but I meant don't use it as leverage. You can't say that though.
Okay, true.
I'm looking for people to play with, and we're friends. Do you want to try it? Right? You can say it like that. But also, if you're in college, you may not have people that you eat lunch with, but you have people in your classes. You can say, hey, or if you're in a dorm, hey, I'm going to go down in the lounge and play Magic. You want to go? I've got an extra deck. If you're in churches often have small groups organized by age or family situation or whatever. That's a great place to find people that may want to hang out with you outside of church or school or work or whatever. Clubs, there's so many clubs out there. Depending on your age group, it could be scouting, could be Rotary, could be, I don't know,
band, theater.
Yeah, band and theater. In fact, I'm gonna stereotype a little bit. Those are great places to find Magic players.
It's true. The nerd clubs.
Yeah, but I mean, adults have clubs too, right? All sorts of networking clubs and whatever, and you can always go and say, hey, we have this in common and we see each other regularly. Are you interested in maybe meeting another time to try a different hobby? And see what they say, and maybe y'all get a group together, right? I might go to a local bar association with lawyers, and I could say, hey, when y'all want to unwind with a game of Magic, and somebody might say yes.
Turns out every single person,
Would
they
be
want to play a
amazing,
10-person commander game.
Oh, no.
No, that's when you play 5v5 Emperor. You have one Super Emperor, and then their delegates, and then generals.
The emperors, the dukes, and then the generals.
Yeah.
Yeah, your coworkers. Randy already mentioned that. Hey, just by having stuff out, he formed a D&D group with people he worked with. When Travis and I were teachers, you can create a club with kids. Unless you're a teacher, don't go that way.
Hey kids,
but also
Magic cards.
Yeah, go to the local high school and start peddling Magic cards.
Get your white van with no windows.
Make sure, no windows. No.
Well, I wanted
but
to
other
mention,
teachers.
yeah,
That's what
I
I was
wanted
going
to
to say.
mention that I was talking to my first coworker friend when I started teaching, and I was 24 years old, and I said, yeah, something I do is called Magic the Gathering. It's a trading card game. And she immediately said, my husband plays Magic, and you need to come to our apartment warming, because she was a second year teacher and I was a first year teacher. So she's like, you're going to come with us to the party. You and him are going to talk Magic. And I played Magic with him and their group for a good 5 or 6 years, because you just have to peacock. You just have to advertise yourself and the things you're into, and the connections will come.
And something interesting, when you're talking about coworkers or family members or people at church or whatever, and you've peacocked, and those people in those groups may not be interested, but they'll do exactly what Travis just said and say, I know somebody who's interested. Let me put you in touch with them. This happened very recently where I was talking to somebody. I don't even remember what we were talking about. It was a colleague, and they weren't the slightest bit interested. I mentioned that I was at Comic Palooza a couple weeks ago, and they were like, well, what is that? What are you doing? And I explained, about selling metal dice and all that. And they said, I know an engineer at NASA who I'm going to get you their contact information.
Ooh.
Because they love gaming.
Maybe they can hook us up with some meteorites. We can make dice out of them.
Cool. That'd be cool. Just to make sure that this is not just a repeat of peacocking. The point is, there are people you see every day or every week. You can just ask them, I see you all the time. Do you want to play a game with me? And Travis and I do this all the time, right? We're brothers. We're into gaming. I get a new game and I'll say, I'm bringing a new game over to your house. We're going to play it, or vice versa, right? And so now obviously we're part of a gaming group that feels very natural, but even before that, right? In fact, I think the way you even got into Magic in the first place was you came to visit me and I said, I'm going to make a deck for you and we're going to play.
Exactly. That's exactly what happened.
And so we were hanging out as family, and then we got into Magic, right? And so you can.
And then we came over when Margaret was born and spent a weekend playing Pandemic. But again, that starts as family, and then we look for ways to bond as family, and then whatever that game is the vehicle. It could have been Magic. It just happened to have been Pandemic at that time.
Right. And
Yeah.
if you have existing friends that you do other stuff with, y'all go to movies, you go to concerts, maybe you go skating, maybe, whatever it is,
Yeah.
you can say, hey, y'all want to try something new when we hang out? And they may have never expressed an interest in Magic. You might be overlooking them as you look for people to play Magic with. You can start cultivate your very own game group with the friends you already have. So look at the people around you. Ask if they want to play Magic.
So Benjamin did a great job talking about all the different people you can target. And you'll notice that Benjamin did not mention the LGS, your local gaming store. And I wanted to come in here and mention that a lot of people think that one common hobby is enough to hold a group together. But it is not. The local gaming store, in my opinion, is a trap. Like we said earlier, people go there when they already have a plan of how they want to spend that time. Okay, they have already decided what they want to do in the few hours that they spend at that store. You can scroll Reddit and other Magic forums and constantly find posts about people who are not having fun playing Magic because they're doing exactly what our viewer said. They're going looking for a gaming group. I mean, it's obvious everybody there loves Magic, right? Shouldn't it be obvious that they could all get along? But the problem there is that they're all treating other people as tools to play the game with, rather than treating the game as a way to spend time with friends. Okay. And this phrase came up a lot in our early episodes, that you cannot hold people hostage to play your game with. These people need to be your friends and human beings first. Human beings like being asked what their name is and being referred by their name. Human beings like talking about their interests. Human beings like expressing themselves. And if you go to the LGS and do not allow those things through playing Magic, then you will not make a friend.
Yeah.
I think the LGS is best when you go with friends that you've already made. When you've decided how your 2 hours are going to go, instead of hoping that you can meet somebody there.
Yeah. When I was in San Angelo, I had a great LGS there that I went to. Before I had kids, I went basically every week. After I had kids, it dwindled, but I still went very, very regularly. And I think to the point where there was a guy there that I traveled to Grand Prix with. But if you ask me how many of those was I friends with, I think if you had asked me in the LGS, are you friends with this guy, I would have said yes, because I liked them and we enjoyed spending time together. But we only spent time at the LGS. I didn't know where they lived. I only had a couple of their phone numbers. We didn't play Magic outside of the LGS. I think I was closer to the LGS owner who sat behind the counter than the people I actually played Magic with, because I actually talked to him and knew what his job was, and we talked business and we talked kids and, you know, what's going on in our life. The fact that I actually talked to him about life instead of sitting down to play Magic meant that I was closer to him than every single other person in that LGS because of that. So, you know, and like I said, it was a very healthy LGS. Everyone got along. They were respectful. They were hygienic. The games were fair. The tournaments were well run. There was nothing wrong with that LGS. It was primo. And yet it wasn't the place to go to make friends. It was friends went to hang out there, or you went there to play Magic.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Benjamin, give us a quick overview. If we've managed to get a friend and we've managed to find someone who is interested in learning Magic, what's our next step?
So first, I want to say we have another early episode that hopefully we can get a link here about how to teach people games in general.
Yep, absolutely.
And to kids, to family members, to friends, if they've never played the game before and you're the one teaching it, check out that episode. But in general, you've gotten them to try a game of Magic. Now you need to do the follow-up. Ask them what they like. Did they like the art? Did they like the strategy? Did they, ask them what they didn't like. Maybe you're needing to try different variants or different archetypes for them. Maybe you need to try simpler decks or more complicated decks.
Yeah.
Ask them what kind of questions they have and what you can explain more, or if they aspects of the game they want to learn more about. Ask what their favorite part was. Everyone has that thing where they went, "Ooh, that was cool," or not. But ask them. Maybe if you can identify that, that's the hook. You've baited the hook, but a lot of people forget you haven't caught them till you pull it. So you
set the hook.
Yeah, you got to set the hook. There you go. Ask them all these questions because you are interested in who they are as a person, and because if you are offering to teach them a new hobby, you want them to like the hobby, right? So you have to cater that experience to them. So let's say you have a brother or sister or cousin that you see at Thanksgiving. You bring your 2 starter decks out and you say, "Hey, you want to try this game with me?" And they're like, "All right." Afterwards, say, "Did you have fun? Hey, I thought that was a cool move when you countered my game winning play. I didn't think I didn't think you'd catch that, but you nailed it." Or whatever. And of course, if they really liked it, they might want to play a couple times and y'all can start figuring all that stuff out. But every time, do the follow up of asking questions, figuring out what they like, offer them more of what they like, offer them less of what they didn't like, and get them hooked by actually being attentive to their needs in that time. And check out this episode for more.
Benjamin, I think that was a perfect lead up to our last few things. Is now we are cultivating the friendship beyond Magic. Okay, you can play Magic with this person and you can cultivate the friendship beyond. Here are some things you can do and things you can say that are just good at building friendships. Compliment people, complimenting them. People love to be complimented. You can compliment them about the things they've done in Magic and out of Magic. Just like Benjamin said, "Man, that was a really great play," or "That was a really cool card," or "That was a really clever deck design." Okay, "I really loved when you played blank and did this thing." Man, and I did that a lot when I was teaching Derek and Randy how to play. "Man, Derek, I can't believe you swung at me with that 2020 Omnath. I've never played Omnath and got him to that high power." Just things like that. You can obviously say that you like whatever peacocking they're doing. If they are doing peacocking like you've been doing, you can say, "I like that shirt," or "I like that deck box," or backpack, or sticker. You can compliment them in return. And I really think that this is overlooked, and it might be the most important thing. You need to confirm that you had fun with them. And you should say the sentence, "I had fun with you."
Yes.
Whether you say it out loud or whether you text it to them afterwards. You should follow up, just like Benjamin was saying, and you should say, "I had fun." I wasn't expecting to do this in this episode, but I feel like it's worth talking about. A good friend of the pod named Steven, I met him at swim lessons with my daughter, and my daughter and his daughter became good friends. And at first, I had kind of decided, like, I'm not really here to meet any new friends. I've got lots of friends, and I'm just gonna kind of focus on my daughter.
Shields up.
Yeah, shields up. You know, I'm only here for a half hour. I don't really need to make any new friends here. At the time, I had a Star Wars tattoo. It has since been covered up because the worst part about Star Wars is Star Wars fans.
Yeah.
But Steven was a really good Star Wars fan, and he tried talking to me. I mean, what did I expect? I was peacocking, right? I had a tattoo of something I liked, and then somebody else reached out to me for it. And the first couple times, I was actually kind of tense and kind of like curt in my responses to him. But by God, he kept trying and, you know, asking me if I had watched the new shows and stuff. And eventually I did open up to Steven. We took our daughters on a couple of play dates together and stuff. And each time we hung out, I always made sure to text him and say to him, like, hey, thanks for inviting me on this play date with the kids, or I had fun hanging out with you. And I'm really glad that I made sure that that's a part of my friendship habits, because Steven died a couple of months ago. And I'm sure that there are lots of people who go through a close death and wonder, what was the last thing I said to them? How is that going to color the relationship? How is that going to color the memories that I bring with me of that person? And I have my text messages to him still, and they say things like, thank you for taking the time to talk to me at swim lessons. And I had fun with you and the girls today. I didn't expect that to come out today, but it is something that helps me to feel confident and to feel good about the friends I make. Is you want that person to know that you enjoyed spending time with them.
Yeah, you'll never
And
go
it's
wrong
just,
with that.
What'd you say, Benjamin?
I said our listeners will never go wrong following this advice.
Exactly. But, you know, a lot of people, I think, are going to be flattered to just see it in writing on their phone, or to hear it out loud, to hear someone say, thanks for inviting me out today, and I had fun with you. And I made sure to tell Steven we only did 2 play dates with the girls together. And after the second one, I told him, I was like, I was kind of closed off at the beginning whenever I was doing swim lessons, but thank you for reaching out to me and continuing to try, because I made a good friend. And we only knew each other for a short time through those swim lessons, but I can still know that that friendship was very valuable. And if he were still here, we'd still be hanging out. We'd be making another plan to hang out again. So that's what you want, listener, is you want people who you can have a recurring hangout with. I'm not going to say a promise, but an expectation that each hangout comes with another one. That each hangout has another one in the future, kind of locked and loaded. That it's an expectation that you're going to see each other again. And those are some, I just think that the advice we give today is really going to help to foster that. Ask if they want to hang out again. Get their phone numbers, and if you can, schedule it. If you are doing the Friday at the LGS thing, if they say, hey man, we're here every Friday, say, hey, is it okay if I get your phone number and I can let you know when I'm on my way? Things like that. Like getting somebody's phone number, starting this group chat. I'm kind of dipping into Randy's section here, but a successful group chat is a great way to increase propinquity for your group. Randy, take it away. Talk about what a healthy group chat can do for your friendships.
All right. Before that, I want to add one little thing to your last thing is, I've known Travis for 15 or so years.
Yeah.
And like to this day, after every hangout, I get, like after he gets home, hey guys, I had a lot of fun today. I can't wait to do, something along those lines. 15 years later, still does it every time.
And I think that's an important
it works.
part of why our meta is still so good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good job, Trav.
We also text each other that we're safe getting home.
Yeah. If
yes,
you're the
honey,
one driving,
I'm safe.
if you're not host. Yeah. So starting a group chat, it's just an easy way to just check in, goof around, talk about like spoilers that are coming out. Hey, did you see this card got banned, or these cards got unbanned, or
did you see the new Sonic the Hedgehog secret layers?
Yeah.
Which looks pretty cool, by the way.
Sending memes and just anything like that. Anything all the kind
sending
of stuff
my mythical meta shorts.
Yeah. I mean, I think one of the fun things we do sometimes is brainstorming fake cards. Like, oh,
Yeah.
hey, they've announced Marvel. Oh man, I think that they should do. I think Spider-Man should be these colors, and I think
Yep.
that like this would be a cool card idea. You know, I mean, like if we go detailed, we go colors, cost, full title, legendary creature
Yeah.
dash, human warrior, special ability, web slinging,
Human
and here,
spider,
yeah, human
human
dash
spider
spider
rogue.
mutants or something like that. You know, and then just like
Hey, Spider-Man's not a
slinging.
mutant.
That's true. That's true. He's not. Anyway, we'll go through a whole thing, and that's a lot of fun. You know, even me, even though I'm kind of tired of Magic, I still have fun like with that aspect of but it's still just kind of fun. Like, hey, what do you think of my idea?
Yeah.
Would this be a cool card? Oh, that'd be cool. Or oh, like add this instead. It's just great to kind of just keep tabs on everyone, see how everyone's doing, see if everyone's free, and just like building up those ties with one another. And what we do before every hangout session is like lunch. Hey, we're meeting at noon. What do you want to do? Now, 99% of the times we go to Cane's. Hashtag
Yep.
not a sponsor yet. If you work with Flavor Flav, you can work with us. But we'll always go out and get something to eat, talk about catch up on stuff real quick, and then go play games.
Yeah.
And then if we
It's
go
so important. It's so important.
for a really long session, we'll take a dinner break, and then we'll come back at it and just keep on shuffling up and playing. Having that break time to just socialize and not
Yes.
just be playing the game
Yeah.
gives you a little time to catch up. Gives you a little time to like even decompress, like if you're doing dinner in between sessions. Press, not be thinking about untap, upkeep, draw,
Yeah.
all that stuff.
Mealtime is just a fundamental human experience where your hands and body are occupied, and the only thing left to do is talk with each other. You just talk about the things that aren't literally playing the game.
Obviously, you have a hobby in common. You can spend a lot of time talking about that. We obviously spend a lot of time talking about Magic. Lots and lots of time. Our memes that we share with each other are mostly Magic related, right? The like you said,
Or
like
anime.
Randy's. Yeah, I mean we branch out, right? And that's where I was gonna go with this. Is that
Oh, okay.
there are times when we get together and hang out and don't play games, any game. There was we got together for Travis's birthday and did a Lord of the Rings marathon because we had established a friendship first. We didn't have to be playing Magic to continue, but those times that we spend not playing Magic make the times that we spend playing Magic more fun, and they assure that they continue. So if your goal, it's weird that we're giving this advice, don't focus on Magic, focus on the friendship, when the person asks, how do I find people to play Magic with? But ultimately, you make the friends and the magic comes. And
Beautiful soundbite. You make the friends and the magic comes, man. That's awesome.
maybe the magic was the friends we made along the way.
I mean, I
That's my-
agree. Is there any more nuggets of wisdom or last words y'all want to share for our viewer asking this question?
No, I think that was my words of wisdom there.
Be patient. It's not going to happen overnight.
Yeah. I mean, kind of going with what Benjamin just said, if you want a group that only plays Magic, that exists. You can go to the LGS and do it. You can grind randoms, and it's going to be exactly that. Your experience will be random every time.
Yeah.
You will have some that are good. You will have some that are bad. You will have some that resemble, angry posts on Reddit with unfair matchmaking, pub stompers, people who are rude, people who touch your stuff without asking, people who play stacks. Like you're going to have you are going to have an
Mono blue and mono
uncultivated
black
experience.
players.
Right.
You're going to have an uncultivated experience. If you want to tailor your group to become a group that you enjoy being with, then it's going to require these steps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you something else. You may grab some friends and say, we're going to have a dedicated Magic night. And you play every Monday night, you play Magic. Eventually y'all will do something else together. Just the fact that you all are hanging out regularly, becoming friends. Somebody's going to invite you to their birthday party. Somebody's going to, someone's going to
Dave and
say,
Buster's, baby.
yeah, someone's going to say, I'm going to see Dune. You want to go? The friendship comes. But
it's really beautiful when that happens.
yes.
So that too can be you. All right. Thank you so much for this question. Again, an opportunity for us to remaster episode 1 as better podcasters, as even better friends. I mean, we have grown in the past year and a half of doing this together. Guys, to get ready for this episode, I went back to listen to episode 1. It's so bad. We are not good podcasters. If you've gotten to this point, listeners, I'm just very appreciative to how much the show's grown, and I hope it can continue to grow. Thank you so much for listening. If you've got friction in your playgroup and you need an outside perspective, let us know. Okay, we're good at this, and we can help you resolve conflicts in your gaming group. Let us know by leaving comments here or direct emails, mymythicalmeta@gmail.com. Thank you guys so much for listening, and Randy, Benjamin, thank you guys for being my great friends. Adios.
See ya.
Later.
This episode was sponsored by Eldorado Gaming. Use the promo code META for 10% off your order. Please like, comment, subscribe, and share. This episode was edited by me, Travis Konishek, and our intro and outro music is by Tyler Heath of the Oh Hellos.